Beyond Lumina, Episode 21, Respite. Okay, young man, you've got our attention. Now what would you have us do? And where would you have us go? Abu Abila asked Filani, with whom he had decided to meet, to see what the Outlander had to say for himself. You realize it will be nearly impossible to get all our people off-world. Are you so certain of this outcome that you would cause mass hysteria to break out? With all due respect, Abo, Filani began, we don't have any other choice. I do believe without a doubt your world is going to start tearing itself apart soon. The Ascendancy is drilling deep and carelessly, almost as though their goal was to destroy your planet all along. Abila could not understand how Omnis would allow such a thing to happen to their world. He was having a hard time believing it, but the Outlander's story was very frightening. But again, how do we evacuate an entire planet, and where are we going to go? Filani had given it as much thought as he could already. Honestly, I don't know how many safe options you have, but I think one of the best and closest places we can go is the moons of Brunio. They're independent of the three major powers, and I don't think they would have too much problem taking you in. They're small, but so are you, and there are at least three of them to hopefully lighten the burden. It's not like you guys take up that much space anyway. All right, Abu Abila replied after a deep sigh. It does not sound like we have any other choice. Fility, was it? And Usion? Usion, standing next to them, nodded in confirmation. I cannot believe I am saying this. Omnis, help us. But I am putting the lives of our people into your hands. Please save us. A native funeral was held the night after the battle on the island of Selva on Inagon, for Katash, the younger daughter of the chief. Aezic and the others attended the somber ceremony, as the natives mourned her, as well as the others they lost in the fight. Chief Oshu had barely spoken to anybody other than to direct Aezic and Ankh, and his elder daughter, Kita, was also still in partial shock, the full force of the loss having yet to become reality for her. Aezic's mind, however, was elsewhere. The previous night, he was reunited with his subordinate, Jay, and many grim truths were revealed, the greatest of which being that, somehow, the Royal Ascendancy and the Free World Alliance were, in Jay's words, one and the same. Aezic was not sure what that was supposed to mean, but he knew that something big was wrong, and he also knew that his own commander, Captain Hadrid, was somehow involved. His memory loss, however, kept him from knowing anything for himself. Jay also told him that Ravina was once again under attack, and as much as Aezic wanted to stay to help the Inagonians, with the new information about the Alliance, Aezic thought it was more dire than ever that they secure Ravina. But Jay seemed to think Aezic needed some real medical attention, and insisted they return first to the flagship, which would hopefully only set them back a couple universal rotations. The rotation after the ceremony, Aezic broke the news to the still grieving Chief Oshu. I'm sorry to leave you just after we've begun something here, but my own planet is now in grave danger from the same foe, and perhaps an even greater one based on the news I've just received. But I promise you, we will return as soon as we can, and help you liberate your world. In the meantime, any reinforcements we can send your way, we will. Oshu's hope had waned more and more ever since the battle had ended. I understand, and you must go, the chief replied, and we will hope for your speedy return. But against a foe with such immeasurably superior weaponry, what chance do we have, even with your help? We will return, Aezic repeated, and we will come back with all the firepower we need to finish things once and for all here. In the meantime, we will be forcing the Ascendancy to answer our moves in other parts of the system. Hopefully that'll keep reinforcements from coming here for a while. Go then, the chief answered, and hurry. Do what you must, and return if you can. I hope to fight side by side with you once more, and if I do not see you again, it was an honor to meet you, Aezic Zin of Ravina. And same to you, Chief Oshu of Inagon. Aezic and the chief clasped arms. If I believed in destiny, I would have to think our meeting would qualify. With nothing more to say, the chief and Aezic parted ways. Aezic convened with Vala, Rosario, Glaus, Artis, Grimm, and the Costian citizens, and proceeded together to the Ravinian cruiser on which Jay and the others had arrived. With all due respect, Lieutenant, Jay began when they arrived, as he eyed the very odd assortment. How do you know you can trust any of these people after what I told you? You know how critical our situation is. I don't think I can in good conscience take them where we are going. We can at least take you all back home, he then said to the Costians. You said they were from Kostia, Aezic? Oh, Lumina, Zarya suddenly started in alarm. Kostia is in trouble. We need to get back there right now and warn everyone. They need to evacuate the planet. The Ascendancy is going to destroy it. Sarge, did you see that? I sure did, Red 2. I think those boys just broke into that back gate. Commander, come in. The rebels just infiltrated the compound. What are your orders, sir? Copy that, Squad 4, replied Captain Azor from the other end. It's time to bust this party up. Tell the rebels to storm that facility. We'll cover them from the air and keep any more enemies from joining the fight. This facility is ours. Proust got the message and agreed wholeheartedly. Reforming the rebel fighting force, they prepared to charge the back gate, which had been breached by Kama and the others. Meanwhile, the Ravinian military bombarded the Ascendancy ground forces, creating for the rebels a clear path inside. Koma, the leader of the rebels, and Barnes, his right-hand man, along with Hawk, Valanth, Mecha, and Argyle, were already making their way through the military wing of the compound, which had many similarities to the one they were familiar with already in Animov. And as always, what the Ascendancy hoped to make up for with sheer numbers, they lacked in training and skill, and so the 6 elite warriors advanced rather quickly through the inner defenses. Soon they were met by more of the rebel forces, and broke through to the main hangar, with the control center in sight. We hold the line here, Koma shouted to his allies over the firefight. Turning to Barnes and the 4 mercenaries, he said, Let's bring down their defenses. Get to the control room. Just then, however, a massive aether plate dropped from the ramparts above, leading to the control center. Inside was a large chunk of Ascendancy officer, known as High Leader Slam. Oh, just missed, he said, looking for his prey. Argyle had noticed the huge soldier appear from the doorway and make his entering leap right towards Mecha, so he grabbed her and threw her out of the way, jumping to the side himself to avoid the crashing man. What kinda... Kama began. Man, you are asking for it, aren't ya? He drew his aether blade, but Barnes stopped him. Go, I'll take care of him, the big Ravinian said. No, you all go. I got this, Argyle broke in, gathering himself and drawing a concentrated plasma blade, scavenged during the fight. You heard the man, Hawk said. Let's get to that control room. Valanth eyed Argyle a moment before following along. Mecha stayed behind with Argyle. Thank you, she said to him. Be careful, I've got your back. Mecha drew her plasma pistols and stood at a distance, covering Argyle and preparing to aid him against their large foe if need be. Ha! High Leader Slam laughed, staring down Argyle and Mecha. The puny ones challenge me. I will flatten you both. I'd say you challenged us when you targeted her, Argyle replied coolly. Slam then charged the two with a concentrated plasma blade, but he was certainly no expert bladesman. What he was, however, was a human tank, which the couple's pistols couldn't even scratch. Argyle's speed and dexterity outmatched High Leader Slam's brute strength and impenetrability, but the overly thick aether plate the High Leader wore made it hard to make a mark, even with the concentrated plasma blade. Meanwhile, Coma, Barnes, Hawk, and Valanth continued down the corridor that led to the control center of the compound. They, however, met more resistance and were pinned down for a moment, before Barnes unholstered the handheld plasma cannon. "Man, are you crazy?" Hawk shouted, then ducked down with the others as he released a shot, which nearly blew the entire corridor apart. "Ah, come on." Hawk started again after the blast had cleared. This was my favorite coat. His long brown jacket had been more than singed in the explosion. "The control room's been breached. Let's go," Coma shouted to the others. "You won't be going anywhere," someone said from within the room. "Kill 'em, boys." Then out came two muscular Ascendancy officers, two leaders in particular, each wielding two concentrated plasma blades. Valanth immediately began firing on them without hesitation, forcing one to keep blocking the expert marksman, as Barnes charged the other with his two-handed aether blade, too proud a Ravinian to use the concentrated plasma blade he himself had. "Get going," Valanth said to the others. Entering the room, Coma and Hawk were met by another speeding concentrated plasma blade that nearly decapitated the rebel leader, if not for his lightning-quick reflexes. Coma already had his own aether blade drawn and took a fatal counterattack at their assailant, missing the blow by a hair. It was Master Omen. "I've had enough of both you mercenaries and you rebels," the Ascendancy leader bellowed in anger. "I'll put you both down, right now." He took another swing at Coma, who blocked quickly, then dodged, not allowing the concentrated plasma blade to cut too deeply through his Aetherium weapon. Hawk, meanwhile, dashed for the main control console, the rest of the Ascendancy soldiers having fled, save for one who now shot at Hawk. He ducked behind a data station and took a glance at his attacker. "Now I was gonna say," he began, "that voice earlier was way too pretty to be old Baldy over there. By whom do I have the pleasure of being shot at?" "Don't taunt me, you fool," a female Ascendancy officer shouted back. "My name is High Leader Seer, and I've killed much more skilled warriors than you, mercenary trash." "Wow," Hawk replied over the sound of battle. "I guess I'll just have to surrender then." "Stop it," High Leader Seer screamed back. "You're going to pay for your lack of respect, you worm. Do you think those two elite swordsmen out there follow me because I'm weak? I will make you run the moment you—" Hawk had snuck up behind the High Leader and knocked her out cold swiftly with his villainy-made stun staff. "Sorry about that," he said afterward, "but we got a war we need to win. Maybe I can make it up to you later." Hawk then quickly made his way to the main control hub, and with his advanced technological knowledge, in particular for that of Ascendancy technology, he disabled both the shield and the weapons of the bunker. Outside the now defenseless compound, the Ravinian ships were free to establish a defensive position. "Great job in there," Captain Azor said through the comms to the sergeant within the facility. "We will remain out here awaiting the Ascendancy's counterattack. Get those defenses back online as soon as you take the facility." "Copy that, sir," replied the Ravinian sergeant. "We have nearly secured the hangar. The rebels will be sending up some of the Ascendancy ships when we can to give you some more support out there." "Good," said Azor. "I'm sure we will need it. But for now, we're sending a few squads down to help you finish things in there." Two frigates then broke from their defensive formation and landed near the back gate of the facility, and 18 soldiers went inside to reinforce their allies. In the hangar, Argyle continued trying to evade the huge frame of High Leader Slam, as he and Mecha both tried finding any weak point in his defenses. Argyle's quickness was the only thing keeping the battle a stalemate, as even the concentrated plasma blade struggled to pierce the giant armored warrior's shell. Over time, though, some slashes sliced through deeper than others. On the level above, Valanth and Barnes continued battling two other Ascendancy leaders in the blast-burn corridor outside the control room. The two expert bladesmen were indeed skilled, but Barnes had inherited a bit of a reckless streak from his best friend, and wasn't afraid to engage one of them with full force. Once Barnes realized he was stronger than his opponent, he quickly closed the distance, made a lunge for one of the blade hilts of the warrior he faced, and gave the big man a swift headbutt, dazing him and knocking him backward. Barnes then finished his foe with a fatal blow from his Aether Blade, then turned and struck down the one fending off Valanth before he could react to his ally falling. Valanth and Barnes then covered the control room from both sides, Valanth clearing the corridor back to the hangar, where he saw Argyle still struggling to bring down the heavily armored High Leader Slam. Valanth watched for a moment, picking off the few other Ascendancy soldiers who were still left in the hangar. The rebels had nearly won the fight already. Finally, he decided to take a shot at the Ascendancy leader, which scorched the back of his armor, but only managed a glancing blow. It did, however, cause High Leader Slam to turn and face Valanth just long enough for Argyle to embed the concentrated plasma blade in the big warrior's armor, which seared through it and dealt a final blow to Slam. With their commanding officer defeated, the few remaining Ascendancy soldiers surrendered inside the hangar, and the rebels won the facility. Within the control room, Koma continued to duel Master Omen, who struggled to match the youthful vigor of the rebel soldier. His experience only took him so far, as his body could no longer react the way it used to. Knowing he wasn't going to be a match in a one-on-one fight with Koma, Omen took the first chance he saw to flee from the control room, running first into Barnes, then turning toward the hangar, where he was then face to barrel with Valanth's plasma rifle. "And now you are mine," Valanth said to Omen, then executed the Ascendancy Master without a moment of hesitation. Running from the room, Koma and Hawk saw the slain Ascendancy officer. "Well, that's that, I guess," Koma said. Hawk again looked at Valanth curiously, and a little concernedly now. Back inside the control room, the group took High Leader Seer captive, along with the rest of the soldiers in the hangar who surrendered. Hawk disabled any potential self-destruction or override systems that the bunker had, so that they were safe within. Hawk and Valanth then went to the hangar with the captured High Leader and met up with Mecha and Argyle. "I had that under control," Argyle said to Valanth as soon as they arrived. "Didn't look like it," Valanth replied shortly, then glanced at Mecha. "Let's get these ships into the sky, everyone," Hawk said to his friends, as well as the group of rebels still celebrating their overwhelming victory. Once they finally began to account for what vessels they had, they opened the hangar and sent most of the Ascendancy ships into the space above the facility. The Ravinian cruiser commanded by Captain Aezic Zin then docked inside the hangar, ready to meet the rebels who kept the spark of hope alive on their homeworld. Valanth then asked the others, "So what do you say we get our ship back and head back for our friends? The Ravinians should be able to handle things from here, especially once the Alliance sends reinforcements to Cronus." "Yeah, I guess we've done our part here," Hawk replied. Then they went back to the control room, where Koma, Barnes, and the other rebels were already in the process of converting it to their own headquarters. "Our mercenary friends are back," Koma announced, seeing the four arrive. "Thank you for everything. I'm sure we couldn't have done this without your help. As far as I'm concerned, you're part of the team." "I'm glad you think that," Hawk said, "because we were hoping you wouldn't mind giving us our ship back, now that you've got a hangar full." We were hoping to go find the rest of our friends." "What, really?" Koma asked, a little stunned. "The Vessel of Destiny is your ship? The one we found in Animov?" "Yeah, that's right," Hawk affirmed. "Wow, now that is crazy," Koma mused. "What are the chances we'd find your ship there, then find you?" "Pretty serendipitous, I guess," Hawk replied, still not wishing to reveal to their new friends that they were part of the enemy ranks in Animov not many rotations ago. "Well, I guess it's the least we can do to help you get back to the rest of your crew," Koma said. "But I know a couple people who are going to be a little heartbroken, or just outright mad." Koma opened communications with the Fancrest, or as he called it, the Vessel of Destiny. "Breen, Jakal, I got some bad news. The mercenaries helping us are the owners of the Vessel of Destiny. I'm afraid we're going to have to give it back to them." "What did you just say, Koma?" an angry young woman shouted on the other end. "This is our ship now. Did you even put up a fight for it?" Koma rolled his eyes. "I said I'm sorry, Breen. What more do you want? It's not ours, it's theirs. They really like it too, apparently." "Well, we aren't docking in the hangar then," Breen shouted back at them. "Jakal, turn around." Now, came another voice through the comms, that of an old man. "Don't be like that. We're approaching now, Koma. See you in a few minutes." "They sound charming," Hawk said after they cut communications. "Yeah, sorry about Breen," Koma laughed almost nervously. "She can be pretty fiery. If she hates you all now, though, don't take it personally. She really liked that ship." "Sure, why would we take it personally?" Hawk joked. Before Jakal and Breen arrived on the mercenaries' frigate, however, Azor and Baroque arrived in the control room, escorted by Proust. "Commander," Proust said to Koma as they entered, "this is Captain Aezic Zin and Lieutenant Baroque Ancor of the Ravinian military." All four mercenaries, Hawk, Valanth, Mecha, and Argyle, looked at the newcomers in surprise. "What's happening, General?" Sergeant Major Ravim asked Vorian when the Alliance forces had assembled at the fort. "The transmission we were receiving from the Ravinian military housing the citizens in Bikaron has stopped." General Vorian replied, "There seems to be some Ravinian rebels causing a stir. Have you dealt with them in the past, Ravim? Do you know what they want?" "I've heard some scarce reports here and there," the Sergeant Major started, "but I didn't think they would have the numbers to take down the Ravinian military forces, even as depleted as they are. Shall I take my squad down there to help retake the facility? Those citizens may be in danger." Ravim's subordinates were not in attendance, but they were with the Alliance forces at the fort, save for Vala, Malun, and Dodds. The general creased his brow in thought. "We don't have the forces to spare, but we cannot allow the Bikaron bunker to fall like the one in Animov. Go, Major, and give us an update on the situation. We will have to go from there." "Yes, sir. I will leave immediately." Ravim saluted the general and the other officers present, then sought his team of 5. They, however, were on their way to him as well. "Sir," Corporal Tice began when they found him, "Master Sergeant Malun has made contact with Private Zawapika." Ravim turned to the young woman. "Yes? What did the sergeant say, Private?" "Sir, Zawapika hesitated, afraid now of her own commanding officer because of what she had seen a rotation ago. "Master Sergeant Malun reported that she and Corporal Dodds have arrived in local space, and were able to get through the blockade from the north, and should arrive shortly. She said she couldn't reach you. I told her you were at the officers' meeting, sir." "That's good news. Thank you, Private," Ravim answered, pleased indeed with the turn of events. "Our team is nearly back together, just in time for us to go take care of a group of rebels who chose to attack at Ravina's most vulnerable moment. We will show them justice." Malun and Dodds did arrive shortly after, and the rest of the squad was waiting for them in the hangar. Maloon still didn't know how she should approach the situation with Ravim, but she needed to know the truth for herself. Ravim wasn't going to give her a chance just yet, however, as he began giving the squad orders as soon as the two arrived. Sergeant, Corporal, it's good to have you both back again. We've just received another important mission, and we just might need the extra firepower. Did you just say Zin? Hawk asked in shock. I did, replied the newcomer sternly, eyeing Hawk and the others warily. And who are you? Baroque, Azor's lieutenant and brother-in-law, moved his hand to the hilt of his aether blade in warning. We actually happen to be friends of your brother Aezic, Hawk answered uneasily, seeing the lieutenant's action and putting his hands up. I guess it shouldn't be a coincidence we would meet you here of all places, though. That doesn't tell me enough, Captain Azor shot back. Now that I get a look at you, I remember your faces. You're some of the mercenaries wanted along with Aezic. Why are you here, and what do you want with my brother? Hawk glanced at the others, who were going to keep letting him do the talking, then to Koma, who was leaning against a data station, looking at him, seemingly just as interested in the answer Hawk was going to give. Okay, sure, Hawk started. Well, it's kinda a long story how we met Aezic, but we are mercenaries of a sort, from Dalsine. You're right about that. You know, it's actually kind of funny the way it happened. You see, just then, saving Hawk from thinking of a story that didn't involve them helping the Ascendancy secretly take Ravina, one of the Ravinian soldiers in the air contacted Azor urgently over his communications device. Sir, we've got company. It's an Alliance frigate,